On behalf of Director of Public Safety Tory Riggs, the Department of Public Works Director Lori Miser, Chief of Police Rick Hite, Sheriff John Layton, and FOP President Bill Owensby, welcome to this very special Peace Officers Memorial Day event. My name is Steve Staletovich, and I'm just your average cop. Before we get into the meat of the ceremony, I want to recognize some very important people that are here among us. We have honored guests from all facets of Marion County law enforcement, including Prosecutor Curry, and we have chiefs representing the Butler University Police Department, the Indiana State Police, the Indianapolis Public School Police, the Beech Grove Police Department, the Speedway Police Department, the Lawrence Police Department, the Cumberland Police Department, and the FBI Special Agent in Charge, Alan Jones, is here representing all of the United States Department of Justice law enforcement officers, as well as other federal law enforcement officers in other agencies. We're happy to have all of them here today at this very important event. And there's two people that I want to recognize especially that couldn't be here today. Benjamin Jovan Staletovich and Spencer Lee Moore. Those two gentlemen had more to do with this program than anyone else, and unfortunately they couldn't be here because they're both still serving. Spencer is representing the Indiana chapter of Concerns of Police Survivors in Washington, D.C. during Police Week, and Benjamin is serving his country in the United States Army, and he's currently at a rigorous training outfit in Fort Lee, Virginia. We're going to talk more about Spencer and Ben in just a few minutes, but right now I want to talk about William Whitfield. Gentlemen, you please have a seat. And you guys feel free to have a seat as well if you like. About a half a block from here, just a short walk, on a balmy Indianapolis summer evening in 1922, a 12-year veteran of the Indianapolis Police Department, William Whitfield, was doing what hundreds of cops before him and literally thousands of cops since have done. He was walking his appointed beat, doing what cops do best, looking for trouble and keeping us safe. On that night at approximately 11 o'clock p.m., William came in contact with a suspicious subject right here at 36th and College. He called to the man to come to him. He identified himself as a police officer. The man did not comply, and William was right. He was suspicious. Instead, he ran. William did what every cop in that situation would do, whether it was 91 years ago or yesterday. You chase him. And in an event that repeated itself several times since, the suspect ran around a darkened corner and there spun around, waited for the officer. When William turned, he fired, striking him right here. The bullet felled William. It knocked him to the ground, but he was able to get up. He got up and he fired several shots at the suspect, but we'll never know if he hit him because the suspect was never caught nor identified. William struggled to his feet and walked to 36th and College, where the incident initially started, and there he collapsed before he could get to a police call box. Luckily, a passerby pulled by and stopped and took him to General Hospital, where he fought for his life for 5 months, finally succumbing to his wounds in November of 1922. I wish I could say that William's story is unique. I wish I could say that William's story is rare. Sadly, I cannot. William's story has been repeated in this county more than 120 times since 1882. Cops, good cops like William, young cops like William, dedicated cops like William, have made the ultimate sacrifice in honoring their oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and her citizens here in Indianapolis. Benjamin Jovan Staletovich, yes, there is a relation, believes that William's story and the stories of his compatriots are too important to be forgotten, and he did something to make sure that they are not. In 2011, Benjamin, in response to the tragic death of David S. Moore, partnered with Spencer Moore and the David S. Moore Foundation to plan organize, and direct the Fallen Officers Legacy Project, to forever mark the location where every one of William's brother and sister law enforcement officers have given their life in service to this community. It is to their honor and to Benjamin and Spencer's credit that we dedicate this project here today. For the next several weeks, our friends in the Department of Public Works will be placing these simple, dignified markers all over Marion County where these tragic incidents have happened. Every city cop, sheriff's deputy, special police officer, town marshal, state trooper, and federal agent who lost their life in this county will be recognized. The first 5 markers, which we will unveil today, represent some firsts in our county's law enforcement history. Hugh Burns, the first police officer to lose his life in the line of duty in 1882. William Whitfield, the first African-American officer. Teresa Hawkins, the first female officer. Edward Byrne, the first Marion County Sheriff's deputy. And of course, David Moore, the first IMPD officer to lose his life since the merge. Were it not for the outstanding support of our director, Tory Riggs, I'm not sure we would be here today. Members of the director's team have met with members of the Fallen Officer Legacy Project and found funding for the initial seed project to get all of the signs placed, hopefully by the end of the summer. Director Riggs is in the prime of a long and prosperous career, from what I've read. He's held many ranks and titles with the Jefferson Police Department, the Louisville Police Department, the Corpus Christi Police Department. He's been called Sergeant, Lieutenant, Commander, Chief. Today, I am proud to introduce him as a fellow cop.
Well, thank you and good afternoon. I will be brief, but let me just say the first I heard about this project was from Spencer Moore. He briefed me on this, and then a few weeks later, our efficiency team that's dealing with police morale came to me and said they wanted to make an early recommendation. And their recommendation was that we provide seed money to get this project up and running, and we have certainly done that. We've listened to our workforce, and we certainly want to do that, and also our citizens, because on this committee that made this recommendation are citizens from our community, employees of our police department, and other employees in city government and county government. So we certainly appreciate the work that they've done and the other recommendations they'll have in the near future. I want to say this: you start out saying you're an ordinary cop, and I appreciate your humbleness, but there's something that is extraordinary about anyone that wears a uniform. Every day you put that uniform on, it doesn't matter if you're local, state, or federal. You have a shield, you go out, you take the chance to lose your life to defend the liberties of this great nation and to protect the people in this city and this great state. And for the citizens of Indianapolis that have been so supportive of law enforcement for decades, I would simply say, as you see these markers being posted around your city, take a moment and reflect upon the loss. Take a moment and reflect that individual that's represented there had a family, that individual that's represented there laid down his or her life so that we could live in a free and safe society. Thank you for being here.
The Legacy Project has also enjoyed the support of our police chief, who shortly after his appointment met with Spencer and myself and guaranteed his support. Chief Rick Hite came to us from the Baltimore Police Department, where he rose through the ranks to commander, where he commanded the Juvenile Services Division. He now leads Indiana's largest and one of America's oldest police departments. Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Hite.
Sir, thank you, and thank you for the hat. Best job in the police department. I was a sergeant, and I remember that well, and the leadership you bring to this says a lot about you and the integrity of this department. The wicked flee as no man pursues them, but the righteous are as bold as lions. That saying is etched in stone at 6th and East Street at the Fallen Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., where some of our colleagues are right now. It's only fitting that we remember them and remember this day as being significant, as the President saw fit many years ago to make this day and this week important to law enforcement and families. But it's also important that, as the director said, that we remember those who come before us. Burns, Whitfield, Byrne, Hawkins, and Moore walk the streets of our city. It is only fitting and proper that we return them back to their beat, to their assignment, and that's in the community where they served. They'll always look upon us, they'll always be here with us, but we thank the community for allowing them to be the police officers, the deputies that they were. We thank all of you who contributed to make this day possible, but the legacy continues. It's about building relationships, ladies and gentlemen. It's about families, it's about community. And we have to come together as one on days like this, but going forth, let's remember those pioneers who came before us. The Fallen Officers Legacy Project is one of many ideas and thoughts that come forth in terms of remember those wounded warriors and those who've gone before us. But also I want to thank the director for his leadership, and a lot we've learned in terms of how we can do this differently. Being a cop's cop, he understands that. And I'm just happy to have a good team here. I see Bob Jones from the FBI. I see my colleagues Garner from the police, from school police. It's a lot of families, a lot of friends here. We want to continue to do this more often. Come together, talk about the legacy, but more important, keeping it alive. Thank you very much.
Like many of our honored guests, our next speaker has been serving this county for over 30 years. John Layton has spent numerous years in the Criminal Investigations Division of the Marion County Sheriff's Department. That's where I first met him, when he was a vice narcotics detective. He's worked every assignment that you can think of, all the way including homicide, sex crimes. He's commanded the jail. And most recently was the chief deputy to the previous sheriff. He is now the sheriff of Marion County, John Layton.
Thank you, Steve. We don't want to talk too much about those vice days, do we? No, we don't. I can't tell you what an honor it is to be up here and representing the men and women, both sworn and civilian, of the Marion County Sheriff's Office, and to honor not just these gentlemen, but every police officer that has lost his life in Marion County, his or her life. And you know, I just feel like as long as we continue to gather, whether it's in a small park somewhere or maybe just a handful of cops over coffee somewhere, and we talk about these guys and we talk about the memories and tell some stories of their time on the beat before their untimely deaths and leaving us, those spirits will stay alive. They will stay alive within the IMPD, IPD, within Marion County Sheriff's Office, within every office and department here in Marion County, where we hold public safety to a higher standard. You know, that goes both ways. Sometimes that an officer falls off the path as we go through our careers, and they're held to a higher standard, that's true. But when one of our own fall in the line of duty, that's held to a higher standard, and the entire city mourns. But we can't let anyone forget these folks that went ahead of us, that fell before us, and to keep the people of this county and city so safe as they have over the years. So without anything else being said, I don't think there needs to be anything else said. Our hearts go out, continue to go out to the families of these folks, and thank goodness for people like Steve Staletovich and the FOP and so many people, the Moore family, who have the tenacity to make sure this gets done. Because like I said, we can't forget, ever. We cannot forget, and we won't, because of y'all. Thank you.
I'm glad the sheriff mentioned the Fraternal Order of Police. Under the leadership of President Bill Owensby, they've been a part of the FOLP from the very beginning. My son put together a PowerPoint presentation and met with the executive board, and it took them all of about 30 seconds to have a unanimous decision to support the project. What the FOP is doing is they've promised to monitor the fund, to manage the fund, and to link to the website, the city's website, of the story of every fallen officer in Marion County. So it's a very big thing the FOP is doing for us. They're recognized on the plaques, as you'll see here in just a minute. I'm now honored to request that Director Riggs, Chief Hite, Sheriff Layton, and Prosecutor Curry step forward as Sergeant Joe Moore, representing Spencer Moore and the David Moore Foundation, and Jessica Staletovich, representing her best friend and brother, Benjamin, come forward and unveil the plaques. So we gotta put this right here. So you right there, Jess, and Joe, you're right over here. And someone count to three.
Someone count to three.
1, 2, 3.
The IMPD Chaplains Corps has served the citizens of Indianapolis for decades. Chaplain Philip Bacon has officiated at more police funerals than I know he'd care to remember. It is no doubt his hope, and certainly our prayer, that he will never have to serve us in that capacity again. But the truth is, he probably will. To that end, I'd like to call upon Chaplain Bacon to close this ceremony with a message of thanks and of hope.
Will you pause with me as we close this ceremony and dedicate these signs and sacred ground all over this city, dedicate that to the memories of those who have served us well. May we pray. Most holy God, on this day when our nation pauses to remember fallen officers, we have gathered to dedicate not only this hallowed piece of ground, but ground all over this city that has soaked up the blood of our fallen heroes. William Whitfield died here, near here, the result of injuries sustained in the line of duty some 91 years ago. We thank you for his memory, the legacy that he passed on to officers even today, and the legacy that has been left by others throughout the city who gave their lives in service. So throughout our city, these markers will be erected to the memory of officers who have given the first and last full measure of devotion in the service of protecting our community. And now we recognize the good work started by Benjamin Staletovich. We ask your blessing upon him even today as he is absent from us serving our country. Bless his father Steve and the many sponsors who carry on this project. And may our city gain a greater appreciation for the dangers our officers face each and every day. Keep our officers in your care. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. And thank you all again for being here. As you go about your routines this week and always, please remember William and those like William. Not just the ones who have given their lives, but the ones shoulder to shoulder with you right now that might give their lives. Because in law enforcement, it's not always what you do that makes you special, it's what you're prepared to do that makes you special.